I'm your host, Jeremy Begley. Today we're stepping a little outside the mechanical room and into something that's becoming just as important as knowing how to size a system or diagnose a problem. Whether people can actually find your company in the first place. The rules of marketing are changing fast. Customers aren't just searching Google anymore. They're asking ChatGPT, Claude, Grok, Perplexity, and whatever comes next. The question is, when AI recommends an HVAC contractor, why does it pick one company over another? Today's guest, Chris Panteli, is the co-founder of Linkify, a digital PR agency that helps businesses get featured in major publications like Realtor.com, Architectural Digest, Business Insider, and even the New York Times. We dive into how those mentions actually build authority, not just with people, but with search engines and AI, and why they may become one of the biggest competitive advantages contractors have over the next decade. The best part? Chris lays out the process so you can start doing it yourself, even if you've never thought about public relations before. If you've ever wondered how some companies seem to show up everywhere online while others stay invisible, this conversation is going to give you a completely different perspective on marketing. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, welcome back to the HVAC ADHD Vodcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Begley. Today I got a pretty cool episode. I'm here with Chris Panteli from Linkify. I'll let him introduce himself and tell you what Linkify is, and then we're going to jump into some marketing talk about ways that contractors can get exposure that they may not even realize are out there. So Chris, go ahead and give us the intro.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jeremy. My name's Chris Panteli, co-founder of Linkify. We're a digital PR link building agency, and we specialize in earning tier one media coverage for our clients. And the reason I was so excited to be on this show is because for contractors, people that work in HVAC, this is such an underutilized opportunity, and there are so many opportunities out there. And I can tell you exactly how they can go out and do that, and we can get into all that good stuff.
Sure. So let's just jump right into a few definitions to set people up. I'm sure my typical audience probably is not familiar with a lot of these marketing terms that we're using. So you mentioned something about tier one and something like that. Explain what that means and what you're actually trying to accomplish there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Great point. So anybody that wants to do well in Google or AI search now. So if people are looking for a HVAC company in their local area, the two sort of biggest drivers of discovery historically has been Google and now AI search. And there are lots of ways that we can make our website perform better in these search arenas. And one of the ways is by getting backlinks or other big websites to link back to your website, to mention your website. That passes link juice or page rank or authority from their website to your website. It makes the LLMs like the ChatGPTs, the Perplexities trust your business more and is more likely to recommend you. So if you're a new HVAC company and you set up a brand new website and nobody on the internet has ever mentioned you, you're not going to have much trust. If Realtor.com and Architectural Digest and the New York Times has mentioned your website, you can see now why ChatGPT might be more likely to feel comfortable recommending you if a customer comes in and says, I'm looking for a HVAC specialist in X, Y, and Z area. And therefore, this ability to get these large websites to link to you, to talk about you, is an extremely powerful strategy, and it can do absolute wonders for your business being discovered by the exact people that you want to discover it.
So a couple things about this and clear this up. I think I've heard that also in the same context of what you're talking about, if it comes from like a .org or a .gov or something like that, that it's a stronger authority. Like if you can get a link back from websites ending in some of those extensions, it's stronger than something that may be like .com or some .info or something like that. Is that correct?
To an extent, that is true. Like .gov, .edu, like education organizations can be considered to have a degree of power. What I think is the really important delineation between what we do and what I want to teach your audience that they can do themselves is this is earning coverage versus purchasing links or coverage. So anybody can type into Google like backlink website, guest post website. You can go on there, you can pay $100 for a website that nobody's ever heard of, that doesn't get any traffic, to link to your website, to mention your website. The value in that is not worth doing. In fact, if you do that a lot, it can be extremely detrimental to your business. So what I'm talking about is earning that coverage. So offering value to a journalist or to a writer from one of these publications to the point where they want to include your thoughts, your commentary within their article, and then they give you a link back. And these websites will be quote unquote websites you've heard of, like household brands, household names, websites that in of their own right get tens, if not tens of millions of organic monthly visitors to their website. So you can already straight off the bat see the difference between the quality there. And yeah, you like EDU website might be powerful, but like in HVAC, if we had like Architectural Digest or Realtor.com or House Beautiful or realhomes.com mentioning your HVAC business, like these websites, they get like tens of hundreds of thousands of people visiting them per month. Google knows that, and the AI models know that, and they trust these websites, and therefore trust gets passed on to your business like vicariously.
So give us an example of how this would work. For one, are you working with any HVAC contractors doing this right now? Like, do you have any clients that are HVAC contracting companies?
Yeah, we currently work with a few and historically have worked with a lot. We work with a lot of home service businesses. And it's the reason I said at the top of the show why it's so underutilized is because I imagine a lot of your audience now is listening there thinking, like, this seems stupid. Like, why is a huge website going to mention me? I'm just like a guy with like a HVAC business. I go and do my job. But it is an extremely PR friendly and topical niche. As you can imagine, in the UK right now, we've just come into the tail end of a heat wave and we're going to go back into another heat wave next week. Like, all the media is talking about is heat waves. Is the aircon unit that Lidl has just launched for under £50 worth it? These are things they want to talk to experts about when they're writing their articles, and they will happily quote you guys and link back to your website by way of attribution. So the opportunities are there. And if your competition is not doing it, you can put yourself in such a strong position for the months and years to come.
So two things: break down the exact process for us. Like, what's A, B, C, D, E, F, G that you guys go through doing this, or that somebody would go through doing this? I know it's not, when you and I talked on the setup interview for this, it's not a straightforward process. There is a little bit of stuff that you have to know to be able to do it. And then can you share any success story, like home service success story that you've had? Because I think the thing that hasn't been said yet that people may not realize is that we're talking about getting quoted in major journalist publications like the New York Times or Wall Street Journal or whatever it may be. Is that right? Like, we're not just talking about some or blog or article that may support, or blog or publication that may support what it is that you do or what content you're trying to back up or create. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, that's 100% right. Yeah. This whole process is based on the idea of the fact that each and every day there are hundreds or thousands of journalists that are sourcing for experts that they can take one or two quotes from to pepper into their article in order to bolster and enhance the credibility of their article. So this is something that happens all day, every day. There is a bunch of platforms that I will tell you about that you can go. A lot of them are free, where you can see this happening. Like, they will post their requests to these platforms, and then these platforms will aggregate them and send them out to an email list or across their socials or via their like in-house application. A lot of journalists will post these requests just on their social channels anyway. So an example might be for Realtor.com, huge publication. A journalist has been commissioned to write an article on how to handle the sale of a home during a heat wave. So how to keep the home staging looking good, but also keep it cool. They're looking for a couple of experts to give some comments if they've got any suggestions or tips on things that you can do to meet that criteria. So they are actively looking at one or two people. It might be more specific than that. They might be writing an article on what the first 3 things that you should do if your air conditioning breaks. I'm looking for some experts. And you will see this. That's the sort of thing that they will say. Because even though they've got the outline of their article, they're the professional writer, they're the one that's done the research, and they're the one that's going to put the story together. You will have seen this in any piece of media that you read. It is almost always filled in and enhanced with these comments from real experts in order to give that credence and credibility and enhance the quality of that article. So those opportunities are real, they make sense, they are all day and every day. But we really need to go right to the beginning so I can explain the entire process and how you guys listening can do this 100% on your own at home for free. It's just going to take some time and a little bit of setup. First thing that you need to do is you need to be like demonstrably visible, and you need to have a clear about section on your website. You need a profile picture. You need to be able to prove forward facing to anybody that comes to look at your business and your website that you are a real human being and you have the skills and credentials that you claim to have. And this is also paramount for things like AI discoverability and doing well in Google. You need to make sure you have got all of that information on the about page. So that's the first thing that you need to do, is that optimization of your profile, awards, accolades, how long you've been in the industry, areas that you cover, any sort of state or local regulatory licensing numbers that you have. All of that information is vitally important to have. That then also needs to be reflected with consensus across places other than your own website. So that can include things like social media platforms. So don't be Jeremy, the HVAC expert, on your website, and then on your Facebook page be Jeremy, the Cincinnati football fan, and you don't mention anything about HVAC, because journalists, they're going to go and look. They're going to want to see that consensus. They want to see that you are genuinely who you say you are, and that's reflected across the 2 or 3 social profiles that you maintain, your website, and then also any sort of local business bodies that you belong to, or sort of...
Would imagine your LinkedIn profile probably plays in pretty big with that as well.
Yeah, LinkedIn is huge. LinkedIn is the one that we say, like, if you're not a social media person, get a LinkedIn. Make sure you've got a banner, make sure you've got a profile picture, make sure you've got some recent activity, make sure you've got some connections, make sure that you have got some like recent posts, and make sure it's filled out properly. And then make sure you've got a business page for your business as well. There is nothing that will put a journalist off more than go into your LinkedIn page, and I don't know if you've seen where on the right it's your business, but because you haven't got an actual business page, it's like a grayed out icon, so it just looks a bit spammy. It takes 2 seconds to set up a real business page and then link your personal account to your business page, and then it all just looks clean. And it's a very competitive space. If Realtor.com is looking for a HVAC expert for tips on first things to do if the air conditioning breaks, and you pitch the journalist and you've got a rubbish LinkedIn profile and someone else has got a brilliant LinkedIn profile, they're just going to go with the person that instills trust into them more quickly. So that whole first part is the optimization part. Does that all make sense?
Yeah, that's a basic. And I think that we should say that is the setup that you should have in any social media and marketing, front-facing marketing setup should be set up that way. You got to support your authority with your own personal authority. First and foremost, like you just described, personal branding is important. If you don't create your own personal brand and then connect it to your business in the manner that you described, yeah, you're losing already. So I think that's all like one-on-one stuff. No matter what you're doing in life, if you're trying to market your business and your concept, you should be set up as you described, I believe.
Yeah, agreed. And it's like one of those no-brainer things to do that it will make a huge difference anyway, even if your objective isn't to get these tier 1 features and grow your business authority. You should have that done anyway. And we'll get clients come to us that will hire us to do this for them. And we'll go to the website, it'll be like a legal firm, and they haven't got an about page, or the lawyer's got no social media presence. I mean, a lot of these guys are like sometimes in their 80s, which is understandable. But it's just, in this day and age, there's the amount of AI spam and fake personas that exist out there. It's more important than ever to present yourself as a real, genuine person. And as well, just for conversions for your own clientele. If you've got 2 or 3 HVAC companies in your local area and one's really hard to find who's behind it, and you've got one that's doing loads on social, they're really open, they've got loads of public information about them, they're just going to instill trust with the local community more than, not doing it. So for us, it's a no-brainer.
Absolutely.
Okay. So then you want to find out where are these requests, right? Because they're gold dust, especially if it's like clean cut, like looking for a HVAC expert for an article on this awesome publication and I need 3 tips, and you can definitely answer that question. That's like your opportunity to lose. So the biggest sort of most well-known aggregator of these opportunities is a platform called Help a Reporter Out, or HARO, H-A-R-O. I think the website URL is helpareporterout.com. You can go there, you can sign up for free, and they send thrice daily emails, Monday to Friday, morning, afternoon, and evening. And that is an aggregation of these requests. And it's really simple. You sign up, you wait for the emails to come in, you look through, and you just see if there is anything there which is speaking directly to you, calling to you. Now, we advise that you be as on point and relevant as possible. And that makes sense when it's easy to see. Like writing an article for Architectural Digest, need a HVAC expert that works in the US to send in 3 tips on X, Y, and Z. Like, you meet all that criteria, you're answering that, you've got to put your pitch together, you've got to send it to the journalist. We also recommend being broader, just to open those opportunities. And that's a little bit of where the skill comes, because not every sort of query every day is going to be specifically speaking to people involved in HVAC, but there could be queries that are like extremely tangentially related, like things like home staging or property. It could be things like, I don't know, I've seen things like post-disaster, post-hurricane things, and it could be like ventilation could have been affected in a way, and you can do these things. There's so many different areas where they might not be specifically asking for you, but your expertise may be super relevant or interesting for that particular story. So you want to take all of that in, and then you want to put your pitch together. So this is the thing that the journalist is going to read, hopefully, and then hopefully include in their article. So my number one piece of advice here is don't put the journalist's question into ChatGPT, ask for an answer, and then send it back to the journalist.
Hilarious. Yeah. Definitely do not do that. No, it's not going to work out.
It isn't. And the great thing about your audience, Jeremy, is like you guys are absolute experts. So the chances are you will need very little sort of research. I don't advise against using AI for things like research. If there's a couple of things that you need to find, just look into and put together so you've got a good idea of what it is you want to say. My biggest tip in order to formulate these pitches quickly and effectively is, one, utilize your own knowledge. And then number 2 is use a dictation tool. So you want to use a free dictation tool that comes with your Mac, or you can buy them for like lifetime deals for like $30 or something.
Whisper, I use Whisper app.
Yeah,
which is awesome. I use it on everything. It's changed the way I do literally everything.
Yeah, amen. I'm with you there, man. It's a game changer. Yeah. And actually, if you invest a little bit more and get like a decent one that like runs off a good model, then yeah. So get one of those. Put your response into the microphone without any regard whatsoever for it sounding professional. Don't worry about ums, ahs, long pauses. Doesn't matter if you swear, sneeze, if you hiccup. It just doesn't matter. Just get the core elements of what it is that you're trying to say in spoken into that dictation tool. Try and inject some like linguistic flurry if you've got like a nice turn of phrase that you like to use, or like an idiom, something which is like unique to you in the way that you speak, the way that your cadence of your voice. If you can inject that in as well, then you want to just copy and paste this big block of like almost nonsensical text, put it into a ChatGPT, and then you want to use a prompt along the lines of retain as much of this original wording as possible in terms of sentiment, flow, wording, but just tighten it and improve it for things like narrative logic, tone, and output me like a well-formatted piece of text, and then reiterate that it needs to maintain as much as humanly possible your linguistic tone and flurry and your sort of personal way of speaking, but make sure it makes sense and it's in, and that will. Not anyone knows how easy it is to dictate. You're just speaking. And then it turns it into a perfectly like plausible pitch to a journalist that will be accurate in terms of the content of what it is that you've said. It will pass almost always the AI detection tools, which we know the journalists are using, because you've told it to keep your own wording, and it will be a damn good pitch. And you'll have a damn good chance of that journalist liking it, include it in their article, linking back to your website, and giving you your first free piece of tier 1 media coverage.
Pretty cool. So I guess there's a way to do this on steroids too. That's the service you guys offer is basically you're like, okay, you can do this one at a time by yourself, or you can hire somebody like you, which does what? What's different than that you guys do? Different than the process that you just described for the contractors themselves.
Yeah, Harrow is just one platform. There's others you can sign up to as well, Quoted, Press Plugs. Some are paid, so unfortunately the opportunities are behind rather expensive paywalls. And that's not to say that we're paying to have our quotes added to publications. We're paying to have access to those journalists requesting experts. We have a custom built tool where we aggregate and pull in all of our own data. We have existing relationships with journalists that will come directly to us as well. We have a blacklist of domains. So some domains it will look like a great opportunity. And unless you've heard of it, if you see an opportunity from lifehacker.com or US News or AP News or the New York Times, you've heard of those guys, you're happy to answer. If you get featured, you're happy. If it's looking for a HVAC expert and it's a website that you haven't really heard of, then you don't know if there's potential issues behind that, because it may be a very low tier website. It may be a scam. There are some, unfortunately, scams that operate within the ether of these PR requests where...
Sure, there's, all over the...
You'll put together a pitch, you'll take your time, you'll do your dictation, you'll put it together, you'll send it off. They'll come back to you and say, oh, thank you so much. We'd be happy to include your quote. We're just looking for a $200 administration fee, or we're looking for you to add a quote about our business on there. So we know all of those to avoid. And yeah, we're good at writing the commentary as well. We have data points on every journalist, so we know what style and tone that they like, that they tend to quote. But that is not to say that you cannot go and do this and get your first 2, 3, 4 pieces of coverage on domains that you've heard of, because the journalists are sourcing for experts. You guys are experts, and I've just given you the playbook to go and do it. It is going to take some time and some effort. So if you have budget and you don't want to do it, yeah, we'll do it for you. But I've given you the playbook to absolutely go and crush this.
So how long so you're the founder of the company. How long have you been doing this under that umbrella, under that name?
Co-founder, and yeah, coming up to half a decade now. So just
half a decade now? Wow.
Yep.
What were you doing before that? How'd you get into it?
I had a fish and chip shop in the UK. So I finished university, got a degree in economics, and then took over the family fish and chip shop for 12 years. Then started a personal finance website because I got diagnosed type 1 diabetes, and I thought I'm not going to be able to stand on my feet for 14-hour days, 6 days a week for the next 15 years. I've got to think of something else to do. So I started an online finance website. Started making like $1,000 a month whilst I was running my other business, and I was like, whoa, this is real. Yeah. I could do this. And then I started building these in this tier 1 coverage for myself as an economics expert for my finance website. You got myself quoted in the New York Times and Business Insider and somewhere else. Then I wanted to do another form of link building, like guest post outreach for some specific pages. And that's when I met my now business partner, and I hired him, and he looked at my website and said, yeah, he could do this sort of guest post link building for me. He said, but hey, how did you get these links from the New York Times and Business Insider? And I said, I've been doing these journalist requests. And he said, do you think that you could do that for some of my clients? And I said, I don't see why not, if they give me permission to ghostwrite pitches as them. And he said, let's do it. We tried it. 6 months later, we started Linkify, and we never looked back.
Wow, that is a pretty amazing story. It just goes to show you, man, there's a business somewhere for everybody. If you just catch the right thing that you're good at and that other people value, it's never your most expected path or your most obvious path. So, I mean, that's a pretty cool story that you got there. We talked a little bit about AI, but where do you see the whole AI thing going as far as marketing goes in the next 5 years?
I think now is the era of brand. The only businesses that will survive and be recommended and trusted is those that are building brand, personal brand, doing real marketing. I come from that SEO background. The reason I was trying to build those really powerful links to my personal finance website was just to rank in Google, get people to click, and then earn affiliate commission from the clicks. I wasn't building a real brand or a real business. Whereas the businesses now that will survive, and especially home service and local businesses, you have to build brand and authority and trust. And the way that people are searching inside of the LLMs, you can just see that's where they're getting their information.
We've had 5 leads in the past week, and every one of them said they found us in a different LLM. Somebody said they used Grok and found us, which I didn't even think about. Grok.
We work with one client they're a mortgage lender, and they get a lot of leads from Grok, which I know is nuts.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But it's like crypto mortgages, so that sort of makes sense because that's where all the crypto bros hang out. But yeah, I had a sales call the other day from somebody who found us on Claude. I mean, I love Claude, but I only use it for coding. Like, I don't know, people like, so it's weird. Yeah, people find their groove, they find where they are, but you can just see that these LLMs, the way that they're recommending, like, we do a lot of work with this. If you look at things like med spas, if you go into an LLM, ChatGPT, and say, what's the best med spa in New York? They're not just recommending the best med spa, they're recommending the best doctors that work for the med spas. So it's like, you've got to have those personal brands inside of those brands.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. It's still the personal touch that matters the most, even with all the AI and the scraping. Even the machines are still looking for the people.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
What do you think then? Do you guys feel pretty safe in an industry that seems like AI is going to be decades away from being able to affect you in terms of execution of your business? Like, robots aren't going to be coming in and doing installs and stuff, are they? I don't think anytime soon.
I don't know, man. I mean, things moving pretty quick right now. It's one thing that exponentiality of the way AI is moving is nothing we've ever seen before. So like, every time, like, the thing that people don't really realize is every time there's an update, it's a 5x or 10x update to what it could do before. It's not like it's just moving one thing. And now there's a whole different group of terminology that's come out. Instead of prompting, it's looping, and it's looping is basically training one agent, GPT agent, or one AI agent, agentic agent, to check the other one's hand, basically, and then that one checks that one's hand until basically you don't have to have a human involved at all. So I think that the way that it's growing, we're probably going to, and there's the robotic side is like, if you look into it, it's not sitting still. It's growing right along with the AI stuff. So I say all that to say, like, we say that we think safe, but I think it's 5 to 10 years away before most of it is driven by something other than a human most of the time. Yeah. And right now, these businesses, the back offices are going away. That's all becoming agentic workflows. Basically, the part of it is leaning into AI and some blockchain stuff in there as well. And part of the thing is, and we've said this on other shows and we say it over and over again, but like, private equity is in the HVAC space now and in the home trade space now. So like, when a private equity is putting the amount of money that they're putting into these roll-ups and trying to find the most efficient, easiest, cost-effective way to do things, are going to move a lot different than they have in their trades before, because it never had that amount of money backing that amount of change before. So like, most people are like, oh, I'm going to do these same 10 things I've always done. I'm going to wake up and go make my money. People are going to wake up and be uncomfortable. They're going to call us, and you guys with the heat wave are seeing it right now. I see these articles every day. America was right about the cooling. America was right about air conditioning. UK admits America was right. Like, people want to be comfortable. It's just how they've been trained in modern society. Like, they feel like it's their right to be comfortable on demand most of the time. So now there's real money saying, let's see how we can serve that need the quickest, the fastest, and the most efficient. So I think it's definitely going to change things in a way that we haven't seen them change before.
Yeah. And I am sat here now uncomfortable without air conditioning. So I feel you. But
you need a mini split. Come on, put the mini split in.
Yeah. Well,
are you high? What is the temperature there right now? Is it still pretty hot there?
It broke like 2 days ago, so we're at like 23 degrees centigrade now. Just come off the back of 36 degree high for about 8 days in a row. So it's okay now, but it'll go up again towards the end of this week, back up to 30 degrees. What about you guys?
Well, we're in Fahrenheit here. It's probably close to the same math record heat for the time of year that we're at right now. We are seeing basically our heat index is 98 degrees Fahrenheit, 98, something like that. But it feels, this is the thing, I don't think you guys have the same humidity that we have. So like now, because of the humidity, I think it's going to be a high of 90. I said 98, I think 93 today, but it's going to feel like 104 because of the humidity factor that is in the air. And there's certain states, California, parts of Washington State, parts of Colorado, most of Colorado actually are what we call dry states, where they don't have that humidity like you guys do. But in Arizona is another one. But most of the United States, they deal with, in the summertime, extreme heat and extreme humidity. So it just makes things 10 times worse. It's like you got a blanket on and then you just shot a bunch of heat under the blanket and you just kept it right there. And then it's like you're suffocating as well as being hot or something like that.
But you have aircon in every room, don't you? You have.
Yeah, I mean, that is, America is set up that way. That's one thing. There is air conditioning. Most places have either a central ducted system or some kind of window shakers. New York is one place where, and some of the metropolises like New York, Chicago, where there's a lot of population density, and they were Midwestern states where it's only hot for a certain part of the year and it's colder way longer. They have what we call window units where they're in the windows, or a sleeve that goes through the wall and it's just a PTAC unit, or a through the wall air conditioner where the back of it hangs out of the building and the front of it's in there. And that's how it was. My first apartment was like that. We didn't have central air. We had baseboard heat. And then every main living area, like the bedrooms and then the living area, each had its own through the wall air conditioning unit that you used. Now they're getting rid of those, and a lot of those places that had those are going to mini splits now, because that's those ones that hang on the wall.
Yeah.
You see there's a lot of European. Those started really, or more of a European concept that has made its way into America. So that's how we're living over here. Like, you're definitely going to have air conditioning in every room, or it's probably going to be a health and safety issue at some point in time. You know what I mean? You're going to have to go somewhere where there is air conditioning for parts of the year at least to be able to live.
Yeah, I've historically for the past 10 years, as I imagine all of Britain, the older generations even longer, you just say to yourself every year, we get 1 or 2 days where it's like you can't breathe, and it's like it's not worth, I don't know how many thousands it costs to get these mini splits put in, but it's just not worth it for the 1 or 2 days. And in recent years, it's not 1 or 2 days. Now it's like weeks. So it's gonna, as a culture, we're gonna change, and you can see every year it like the units, they sell out everywhere that you can get them, and then it becomes something where it's not just one day where you're hot and you can just like take everything off and just
can you just go to the hardware store and buy a window unit here in America, and until they sell out, or unless it's a big heat wave or something, you can most of the time just go to like Home Depot or Lowe's or any of the big box hardware stores and just buy you an air conditioning to put in the window.
But are they any good?
Yeah, they're area units, not for the whole house. So if you had a bedroom and you're like, I'm just going to keep this bedroom cool, and you went and got one of those window units, oh yeah, you'd keep it cool. And nowadays they're pretty efficient too.
Do you have to keep the window open?
So you open the window, the thing slides in, you close the window on top of it. It has two things that slide out that hold it in the window. The back of it hangs out the window. The front of it faces the room, and it just air conditioning. It's a heat pump. All air conditioning is heat. At the end of the day, it's a heat pump. In reality, it just pumps heat from one place to the other using a refrigerant. So that thing is just a in-the-wall heat pump that pumps the heat, takes it and removes it from the air and extracts it to the outside, directly to the outside. And so, and also dehumidifies as well.
I'm not sure. I know there's regulation on stuff like that over here. I know if you want the proper splits put in, you have to have a proper...
Sure, yeah. I mean, for something like that, I'm sure you got to have a load calculation and everything. But here, it's the same way. But then they also just let a consumer go. You can just go to a hardware store and buy an air conditioner if you want to use it. Yeah. I know what your guys' grid's like. Our grid's a little different, too. So it might be something to do with that as well. Like maybe they can't take the chance of putting all that electric on the grid at one time because it's so old or something.
I'll be looking at Amazon.
Those are considerations.
No, they are, yeah. Well, I just got a letter from our water company today to say that, basically a begging letter saying, like, when it gets hot, water usage just goes up exponentially across the entire system. Please just be aware that if you all turn your water on at the same time, like the whole system's gonna collapse. There was like a begging letter, like
people just running the water trying to be cool, I guess, trying to get some cool water and splash it on their face, or what is it?
I know, I think what are they saying? It's just an exponential increase. I saw maybe 10 different houses that were filling paddling pools from the hose pipe, doing the grass, just showers, cold showers. It just goes, I think it's like a 5x usage compared to normal times, and they just can't cope with that sudden surge of usage on, like you said, old pipes that have been here for years. So, yeah.
It's crazy times, climate change. All right, well, I think we're running up on our time. I'll do a couple things. First off, tell everybody where they can get a hold of you, your website, what it is you do, all that stuff. And if somebody wants to hire you to go get them links or get them quoted, we should say, and then get the link, then how they can do that. So,
so find me on LinkedIn, Chris Panteli, our website, Linkify, that's Linkify.io. Please feel free to go and get a free cheat sheet where I break everything down that we've talked about today and tell you exactly how you can go and get your first 5 pieces of mega coverage. And that's at linkify.io/cheat-sheet. drop me an email if you want to talk, or if you want to set up a call, chris@linkify.io, and I'll be fast to reply, and I'll do a 10-minute free strategy call as well. If you want me to look at your website, look at your socials, make sure that you're set up ready for success.
Perfect, Chris. Thank you. And the last thing we ask all of our guests before we get off the show is, if the world ended today and they ask you to leave some advice on the wall for the society that comes next, what is your one sentence of advice that you would leave?
Take a risk. Because when I was stood in the fish and chip shop doing 15-hour days in a heat wave, sweating and thinking, shall I go and do this other thing which is making me money and could give me a better life, I took the risk and it worked out. So sometimes you take the risk.
I love it. I'm a take a risk guy all the time. I mean, you're going to take the risk, and I'd rather take the risk and fail than wonder whatever happens. So I love that advice a lot. All right, Chris, thank you very much, and maybe we'll talk again sometime soon. Thanks for coming on and sharing that information about the links and getting quoted, and just all the great marketing advice you gave our audience today.
Thanks, Jeremy. It's been awesome.